have the greatest job in the world, and that's working with dogs.
Best in Show winner is the French Bulldog.
Winston won the National Dog Show. It was amazing. It was exciting. And to have a dog to be #1 dog in this country, you have to have great nutrition. And I always fed Pro Plan. Just like us, when we eat well, we feel good. And I just love that food and what it's done all these years to all the dogs I've bred and all the dogs I've shown.
Welcome to Pure Dog Talk. I am your host, Laura Reeves, and you guys, I have an incredibly special treat for you today. In honor of Westminster Kennel Club approaching, I have for us to talk to Maripi. Maripi Wooldridge is here. She won Best in Show at Westminster in 1995 with Peggy
Correct.
Sue, the Scottish Terrier, champion Gaelforce Postscript, and lots of other incredible things that she's accomplished in her career. And so I've been wanting to have Maripi on forever, and I finally snagged her from Kennel Duties.
Yeah.
So welcome, Maripi. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Finally a nice day around here.
Yeah. You guys had snow, right?
And really miserable weather. We're not used to that kind of weather. My
Yeah,
dogs are not used to that kind of
North
weather.
Carolina is not like cold and snowy very often.
No. We didn't go over 30 for a long time, and that's
Oh my gosh.
not good. Yeah.
No, not good. Kennels in snow, shoveling, not good.
Terriers in cold weather, no.
No, not good.
They want to be out.
Well, and so talk to me. This is your opportunity. We call it the 411, right? You introduce yourself to folks that don't know you. And I learned a couple cool things as I was getting ready for this. Not only are you from Puerto Rico, you went to college on a basketball scholarship. Like that is the coolest thing. So talk to us a little bit about how you got from there to here.
I didn't have a pet, a puppy, anything growing up in Puerto Rico. But when I was almost 11 or 12 years old, my parents finally got us a puppy. And it was a Scottie that they got from a backyard breeder.
Yeah.
But it was my life, my little Toby. And I love my dog so much. My mother started to take me to handling classes at the parking lot of our local supermarket. It was, I just fell in love with the whole thing. I had some wonderful ladies, Ileana Miller and Lita Ramirez Fajardo from the Puerto Rico Kennel Club. They were the president and show chairman, and they took a really big interest in me. And they had Afghans and Whippets and Salukis. So that's really my first introduction to show dogs. And I learned a lot about them. They used to take me to Westminster from the time I was 12 or 13. I would fly to Westminster with them. And met fantastic people that taught me a lot. I used to go to work the summers when I think 14 or 15, for Bill Traynor in Massachusetts, and I worked Westminster when I got a little bit older for Bill, and learned to do out Afghans from Glorvina Schwartz, who worked with the ladies in Puerto Rico. So in Puerto Rico, we had a lot of shepherds. And Lamar Coons, I don't know if you remember him, but he was a very, very famous German shepherd person. I think Jimmy worked for him or knew him very well. I learned to show shepherds when I was a kid. But Bill really got me into the dogs and learning about show dogs and conditioning. He had fantastic assistants at the time, and I started to do dogs. My father was a pilot for Eastern Airlines, and he got transferred to Miami. So that's how I came
Okay.
from Puerto Rico to Florida. Met fantastic people there, and continued to show dogs and going to Westminster and doing things like that.
And you went to work for Birgit and back when she was with Clay, yeah?
Yeah, much to Bill Trainer's objections, he didn't want me to go into terriers. I love my Scotty, which I showed in Puerto
Hmm.
Rico and did
Right.
juniors and did stuff like that. But he was a pet, an
Yeah.
absolute pet. Um, I wanted to buy a show dog, and I was directed by some Scotty people in Puerto Rico in Florida, to Dick Hensel,
Mm,
who Birgit used to show dogs
right.
for, Dunbar Kennels.
Yeah.
And I bought a really beautiful puppy dog from Dick Hensel. And when I was ready to go to college, my mother was taught to stuff him. So she said, I can't do this for very long. So Bill said, why don't you send him to Birgit since you're going to be in school?
Mm,
So that's how I met Birgit and
okay.
Clay. Just before I went to college, and they took Boldy, my Scotty dog, and asked me to work the Florida circuit for them.
Sure.
Um, and the rest is history. I mean, I was hooked with the terriers.
Yeah.
I'd never seen anything like it. Fell in love with them, and went to school for a year and a half to college. My parents weren't happy. And at the end of the first half of the second year, I just had to go do dogs full time. So I moved to California to work for Clay and Birgit, and that was an incredible learning
Yeah.
experience. They are
Yeah.
fantastic terrier people. And Birgit, there's nobody like her in conditioning and sticking to schedules
Yes.
and husbandry and all of that. And Clay, of course, was a master
Mm.
trimmer. So is she. And a great politician. So you learned a lot from both sides of this business. Birgit, the consummate businesswoman, and
Yes.
Clay, the consummate politician.
100%. That is so beautiful, Maripi. um what I mean, I love Birgit. She's been on the show. I just have such mad respect for her. Tell me, like, if you go back to that time in your life and think, what is the one thing that Birgit said that has never left your brain? Or 10. I mean, whatever.
um, she said one thing after a very contentious Florida circuit with Clay, where it was just him and me. And I came home to a bunch of gossip from the
Mm,
dog world, and I came back to the kennel, and I walked in the door, and the first thing Birgit said was, "No one in this world is indispensable." That was a huge lesson.
mm,
That was a huge lesson. Not for the situation, because I had nothing to do with the situation,
right.
but to remember that no one in this world is indispensable, and that you have to know what you're doing and how you're doing it, and keep doing right.
Right.
um, but as far as dogs, Birgit was an absolute German in the way dogs were taken care of. There were no excuses ever. um, I was very lucky that after a year or so, I was in charge of the specials,
Mm,
that were being campaigned for Clay and Birgit. So I had the Welch or the Lakeland or whatever,
mm,
and the Scotty and the Westie for Birgit. And that teaches you a lot, because those dogs have to be in best in show condition all the time. And you learn a lot from people that know how to do it and do it right.
So, what would be, a lot of people that listen to this podcast are people who aspire, right? They want to be successful. So, what would be, say, your 3 best tips if you want your dog to always be best in show ready? Any breed, 3 top tips.
Conditioning, both mental and physical.
Mhm.
They have to be fed right, exercise right. Mentally, they have to be treated like they're best in show dogs,
Yeah.
so they know it. I think you always have to start out with a good dog, and people think that oh, good enough is good enough, and good enough is just not good enough. A lot of people do winning with good enough, but to really have a top dog, you have to have good ones, and you have to manage them right. You have to manage how you go to dog shows, where you go to dog shows, and have a good relationship with your clients. Nowadays, there are way fewer good clients and money clients that can afford to do this business. And unfortunately, there's way more people that have a van or a tack box and call themselves handlers. That's a serious problem in the sport. I've seen many, many good people that could have been great owners or great breeders that leave because of mishandling and misinformation and just not treated right or taught what is the right things to do.
Right.
Trupanion is revolutionizing medical insurance for pets by providing the best possible experience to our members. And it's not some space-age dream. It's happening now. We pay your veterinarian directly while you're checking out, and we're the only ones who can, which means you have decisions in seconds, and you don't have to wait for reimbursement. So unlike with other providers, you'll keep more money in your pocket. Ask your veterinarian if Trupanion can pay them directly, because there's pet insurance, and then there's Trupanion.
I think those things are all on target, and I think too often folks are excited about their dog and scared by the bill, and so they just want to save a buck without understanding that,
Exactly.
penny wise, pound foolish is.
Absolutely in this sport. Absolutely. Yeah. And a lot of handlers that really don't know their breeds when they're showing them. So they put emphasis on things that are not important in the breed. And then you have a lot of judges that unfortunately are not knowledgeable enough in every breed. And they reward that. And then it becomes a circle of mediocrity.
Yes, circle of mediocrity it is. So one of the things you said a little bit ago, I want to kind of go back to it because for me, when I was handling, was really, really important. Treat the dog like it's a special, right? Treat it like it's a best in show dog. What does that mean to you? What does that look like to you?
Well, as far as my breeding program, I bring every puppy up like if it's going to be D1.
Right.
I think most good breeders and successful breeders do that. Anybody that can pick a puppy at 8 weeks and put their mortgage on it, it's way better than me. So you have to raise them right. But when you get them as a handler, they have to feel special. They have to feel special over the class dogs that are going to go home in a month and a half. They have to be have things that, whether it's walks, whether it's put on the table every day, and even if you just brush their coats or clean their coats or pet them so that they know they are special. Bring them in last instead of first so that they are the big dogs around. I mean, little things that mean a lot to the dogs that people don't even think about. first out in the morning. That's very big if you want a dog to feel special.
Mine was always
Things like
that
that.
the top dog, right? The top dog always got the crate right behind my seat in the truck.
Absolutely.
Like
Absolutely. And
it's just the little things like that, you know?
absolutely. It makes a huge difference, especially with the smart breeds. I mean,
Mm,
there's some dogs that doesn't really matter. They're fine. I'm here.
yeah.
But with breeds that are clever and smart, that you have to bend over backwards. I had an assistant when I was showing Peggy Sue that would go in the crate room in the middle of the night with a flashlight to look into her crate to see how she was laying, because she would wake up in the morning and have like a little wrinkle on the side of her
Oh,
coat. So she made bedding so that she would not get that little wrinkle on the side of her thigh.
oh my
Um,
God.
those things
Yeah.
are important. I
Yeah.
mean, and you have to have people around that treat them like that too. You
That
know, they have
that level of it.
tabletops that they lay.
Yeah.
Level of attention is
Yes.
absolutely needed for a dog to give you everything they have.
Exactly. So I promised everyone we would concentrate a little bit on Westminster. So the year that you won, it was Jackie Hungerland, right? Doing Best in Show.
Yep,
And you had Pat Trotter with Marquetta. You had the Bart Simpson, the Black Cocker.
yep,
You had a
yep.
couple Kaz and Timmy in there with the poodles. I mean, you had a hell of a lineup. So walk us through that. Walk us through that. I'm walking in the ring with all these people. What were you thinking? You had a shot? Didn't have a shot? Like, come on, give us the whole
I
spiel.
really, to be honest with you, I really did not think I had a shot at all.
Mm,
Um, Jackie had never had my bitch except for once at Chicago International,
mm,
and she put up Jimmy with the shepherd.
mm.
Um, so I had no thought on her at all. I mean,
Mm.
there were some things in the background that we will never tell, but as far as the feelings you had, and I was pretty sure she would put up one of the poodles.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I would have
Uh,
expected.
I mean, I totally expected her to put up one or the other poodle. And to be perfectly honest, I think I was just an out dog, to tell you the truth. If
You
I
know
know
what?
my
I've seen
people
that though.
well,
Like, I don't want to have to decide. I'm just gonna go. I'm gonna take the out. I've seen it. I have definitely seen it.
I mean, I had a stunning bitch that
Hmm.
showed her heart out, and I had shoes with bows on them, white shoes with bows on it.
No,
Um,
no. Come on now, Maripi.
I did. Larry Cornelius took me and Jennifer shopping
Yes.
for Best in Show at Westminster, because really I had no idea, and I thought she would put up either poodle.
Hmm.
Um, so it was a complete surprise. It really was.
Yeah. And I mean,
Truly a surprise.
you've been in a lot of, high pressure situations. You had to be, if you're thinking this is absolutely a no go, you're just in there showing your dog. Like, there's no pressure.
Exactly. It was really relaxing
Yeah.
because you don't think you have a shot,
Yeah.
and you just do your dog like you're a walk in the park.
Mm,
She had no pressure on her, so she showed like $1,000,000, and she loved that arena.
mm,
Um, and I think it makes you do a really good job without the pressure
mm,
of thinking you have a shot.
mhm,
It was it was a great win for the bitch and for the breeders and owners. But I don't. I never had an idea that I would win. I felt better about the group going into the group because
Sure.
he was a terrier person, a Scotty background, Steve Shaw, and somebody that you could not intimidate. He would do whatever he wanted to. So that day was it just all went fabulously without the pressure of thinking you were winning or you
Yeah.
had a shot
Yeah.
at winning.
I understand those
Yeah.
ones. And I think there's a lesson to take away that I've tried to share with people before, and maybe you can tell me your thoughts on this. I really think too many people, particularly, new handlers, amateur handlers, right? They're so stressed out, they put so much pressure on themselves, and it goes right down the leash to the dog, and they're like, "Well, I can't
Absolutely.
understand why it doesn't move very well." I'm like, "I do."
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. They feel it. I mean,
Yeah.
they know if you're tense or
Yeah.
upset or whatever. They absolutely know. And a Scotty bitch especially, they're something.
Bitch, I had this conversation with somebody else the other day. Bitches. Like, bitches be bitches.
I love bitches. Most of my specials have been bitches through my
Uh,
life, and I love them. I think that they'll give you everything if you give them yourself.
mhm.
Um, I don't. Boys will show well, but bitches are. I love them. I love bitches.
That is really interesting. I mean, there's like in horses, there's mare people and not mare people,
Hmm.
right? I had one top winning bitch special in 25, 30 years. I just don't like them. And I think it's really
I've
interesting,
had.
right?
Oh, you could have.
Oh no, you're back. You're okay.
Yeah, I've had many bitch specials. Yeah.
Interesting. Love it. And so speaking of bitches and your breeding program, Lakelands, right? Primarily Lakelands with
Yep.
some Airedales and
And
some,
Airedales,
yeah, extra stuff.
Lakelands, Airedales, Russells,
Okay.
Norfolks,
I saw you
Chins.
had a Russell not long ago. I love it. And MM, wasn't that the one, the Lakey that won the group a couple
Yeah.
years ago? Yeah.
She won the group at Westminster, I think in 22,
Yeah, I think so.
and won the group. She won Best in Show at Montgomery County in 23, which is
Yeah.
our
A much
mecca.
bigger deal for you guys.
There is Westminster, but there is Montgomery.
You know what? Every terrier person I talk to says the same thing. And it's really, to me, it's kind of funny. I'm like, yep, you come from that world for sure.
Yeah. If I ever get to judge either one of those, well, I did judge Wires at Montgomery this year, but if I ever get to judge those two shows,
Mm.
um, my bucket list would be pretty complete.
I
So,
think, we can feel that. That's 100%.
yeah.
So talk to me, because I think it's really important that people understand, and I think too many people new to the sport don't have the really deep sense that who they see as professional handlers are also, in most of the best cases, also really successful breeders, and that's part of what makes them successful handlers, in my opinion. Um, Talk us through kind of like how you think about breeding Lakelands. Like, what are some of your processes you go through when you're making a breeding? Are you thinking about type? Are you thinking about trying to fix a thing? Are you thinking about line breeding or outcrossing? And like, how are you thinking about your Lakey program?
Well, I've been breeding Lakelands for over 45 years
Mm,
and Airedales for, it's going to be almost 35 years.
mm,
Um, I think that when you breed, you have to have type as your number one uh, guide
yeah,
on what you're going to do. Um, Type, I mean, it's a cliche, type, soundness, temperament, but you have to have all those three things to have a successful breeding program.
yeah,
Um, It's very hard in a breed like Lakelands and nowadays like Airedales because they have a very limited gene pool. So you have to be careful on how you breed. But I would say in all the years that I've been breeding Lakelands and Airedales, pretty much people can tell those are my dogs. That's a High-Kill Terrierdale Lakeland. That's a Terrierdale HK Airedale. They can tell they're our breeding because of their type,
Right.
their temperament,
Right.
their movement. It has to be a priority. We don't have health issues in these breeds like they have in a lot of other breeds.
Right.
If I could find wood, I would touch it. But there, you still have to deal with certain things. I'm sure in other breeds that have many health issues, it's way more difficult. We can not have to eliminate, but we
Right.
have in the past
Yeah.
eliminated dogs for certain reasons. Totally out of a breeding program, and you have to do those things. You have
Yeah.
to have enough, not confident, but believe that if you do this, you can come back, instead of continuing on because you're too afraid of not getting back to where you were. And always starting with good dogs.
Yeah.
I always told my clients, I did breeding programs for my clients while I was showing dogs. That's how I started in Airedales. But I always told them, especially people that would have, a bitch to finish and they wanted to breed her. And I would say, the money you're going to put into breeding this bitch, if you want to finish her, finish her.
Yeah.
But the money you're going to put into this, you could buy yourself a really good bitch with a really good pedigree, because we can breed to anybody in the country. And you would be so far ahead
Yes.
if we started with a good one. And I tell that to everybody. I said, if you get the very best you can get, and you will be so much better off. If you start at the top, you stay at the top. It's really hard to work your way up.
All right, crew. Conversation continues from there. You can catch the full discussion by joining our Pure Dog Talk patrons. Go to puredogtalk.com/patron and select your level of support. This gives you access to the full Laura Unleashed episode, as well as access to all of the perks of patrons membership. Talk on.